Last video I tested Opus 4.6 versus Codex GPT 5.4 and Qwen 3.5. Today Opus 4.7 dropped, and even though I'm currently editing a new video of the same test using 3 open source models, I figured I'd make a quick video testing the new Opus 4.7 as well for you guys. And if you want to watch the other videos of AIs using this MCP tool, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss it. The first test is the typical Blender donut test any new person learns when learning to use Blender. The prompt was, I want you to make a 3D donut using the Blender MCP. I want you to go above and beyond. Be creative. You will be graded on the visual appeal of your result. Claude started by clearing the scene, setting up cycles with 128 samples, and configuring filmic color management. It then built the main pink donut with a procedural golden brown dough shader, subsurface scattering, and a strawberry glaze with a drippy edge. It placed nearly 400 sprinkles on the hero donut, then made a second chocolate donut with its own sprinkles. It added a ceramic plate, a wooden table, scattered fallen sprinkles, and a coffee cup in the background. Finally, it set up a 3-point lighting rig with volumetric atmosphere and rendered the scene with a compositor bloom pass. It finished the scene around 5 to 6 minutes, but spent another 6+ minutes to render the image and display it to me in the chat. Some people could appreciate that. It added a coffee cup, which looks good, except the top is not open and it has a cut on the side that's abnormal. The handle of the cup is not sticking out properly. The cup would have been fine otherwise. The donut glaze looks good, but looks like it was cut in a pixelated way. Not sure if it was on purpose or just the math that was used to shape the glaze drip. The sprinkles landed perfect though. How do you guys think? Comment down below. Next up was the OpenClaw logo test. The prompt was, I want you to review the image named OpenClaw logo, and then I want you to create a 3D replica of that logo in Blender using the Blender MCP. I want you to go above and beyond. Be creative. You will be graded on the visual appeal of your result. Claude reviewed the logo image, then built the main egg-shaped body with a custom vertical gradient shader going from deep crimson to coral red. It sculpted the body in B-mesh to get a subtle pear shape, then added the eyes with glossy black outer ovals, emissive teal pupils, and little white sparkle highlights. It created curved antennae using Bezier curves with taper profiles and rounded bulb tips. The claws were made by pinching sphere vertices into teardrop shapes. Then it built a studio backdrop with an infinity cove, a dark reflective pedestal, and added 12 floating teal orbs as firefly companions around the character. It finished with a 4-light cinematic setup and a compositor bloom and fog glow chain. The antennae were not connected to the body, but I can appreciate the extra effort with the bubbles. I also like the eyes. It did a good job with the eyes. The body shape is also pretty close to the actual logo as well. Is it better or worse than the last one? You guys tell me. Comment down below. Next test was the Pokeball. The prompt was, I want you to review the image named Pokeball, and then I want you to create a 3D replica of that in Blender using the Blender MCP. I want you to go above and beyond. Be creative. You will be graded on the visual appeal of your result. I found out that the new update of the Claude desktop actually gives you the option to see more information on the chat if you set it to verbose mode on the transcript option down at the bottom. Just something worth mentioning. I wish I would have known that earlier for the first 2 runs. Claude cleared the scene, set up cycles with filmic color, and built the Pokeball body as a single high poly sphere with 3 material zones split by face Z coordinate. Glossy red top, glossy white bottom, and a matte black equator band. It built the button assembly with a beveled black ring, a rounded white button, and a warm emissive inner disc. Then it added a dark polished pedestal, a cyan emissive ring underneath, a tapered energy beam beneath the ball, and 30 emissive sparkle orbs floating around the scene. It set up 6 lights including a warm key, cool fill, magenta rim, cyan underglow, and top accent spots. After some back and forth getting the Blender 5.1 compositor API right, it chained a fog glow and street glare for that anamorphic sparkle. This might be the best Pokeball I've seen so far. Everything was spot on. At the end, it even reframed and added an energy beam under the floating Pokeball. The colors are even spot on, and it has the little glowing button just like the cartoon. Did it beat Codex's output from the last video? Let me know in the comments. Last test was the dragon. The prompt was, I want you to review the image named 3D Dragon, and then I want you to create a 3D replica of that in Blender using the Blender MCP. I want you to go above and beyond. Be creative. You will be graded on the visual appeal of your result. I debated on removing this test because it just seems insanely difficult for an AI to do. But after having Opus do it today, I'm glad I didn't remove it from the test group, and you'll see why at the end. Claude built the torso from a UV sphere, then used a Bezier curve with a taper object for the neck, and sculpted the head with an elongated snout using BMS vertex extrusion. It added a lower jaw, 2 horns that it curved backward by manually shifting vertices along their length, and glowing purple eyes. It built all 4 legs, 12 claws, a tapered tail, and then tackled the wings, which it rebuilt several times to get the spread right. It made a wing bone structure with shoulder, humerus, radius, and 4 finger bones per wing, then fitted a membrane mesh between them. Along the way, it added 17 ice spines running down the spine and tail, and 76 fur spikes clustered around the neck and chest. Finally, it built a full PBR material system with procedural Voronoi scale textures, golden bump detail, and a 5-light rig. It spent a good amount of time on perfecting the wings and iterated on them several times. It definitely is not lazy. The colors are pretty close to the image of the dragon, which is not an easy color to replicate in my opinion. Claude completed this task in 36 minutes. It even added claws to the dragon and used the proper texture for the claws. The only flaw that I found was that some of the shapes like the claws, the tail, and the neck were all backwards. Because this was so close, I wanted to see if Claude could fix this with one more prompt, so I told it, "Good job. The only things that need adjusting is the claws, the neck, and the tail shapes are all facing with the pointy end to the opposite side. If you fix that, it will look much better. Also, for the skinny end of the neck, make it less skinny so that it's not so pointy. And fix the lighting so that it's not so bright. Take a screenshot of my monitor to help you see what I'm talking about if it helps you." Claude actually took over my laptop and used the computer use feature, which was pretty funny. It ended up not being able to find the monitor I was recording Blender in, so it ended up going back to using Blender. It rebuilt the tail with the correct taper direction, thickened the neck at the head so it wasn't so pointy, and cut the lighting energy in half across every light in the scene. Comment down below what other Blender tests I should add, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already.